There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derrick J on the Angel Clark Show. Hello?
Yes, hello and welcome everybody. It is so good to be with you. I am your host this evening. I'm Derrick J. You can learn about me at DerrickJ.me. Now, this is the Angel Clark Show. Check us out at radiofreedom.us and noarmycanstopanidea.com. We've got some news stories to share with you today, some important things that are happening in the world. First of all, we are live this August 12th, 2014. It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, where I'm broadcasting from in Keene, in the Shire. Now, I have to let you know that this segment of the Angel Clark Show has been brought to you by a friend of the Angel Clark Show. That's right. A friend of the Angel Clark Show has responded to the call and is doing what they can to help promote liberty through our listeners. You can do the same. All you have to do is go to the website, radiofreedom.us. Once you're there, I want you to scroll down. You'll find a chat room, and there you can interact with other listeners on the show. You can also click on the tab that says Donate. Click on that tab, and you'll see that the Angel Clark Show accepts both PayPal and Bitcoin. Every donation helps. Now, normally, Angel doesn't take calls, but I have opened up the Skype lines. Skype me, my name, DerrickJFreeman, or call in 443-424-8347 if you've got news that you think is important to share with the world. I've got a couple of news stories that just can't wait. First of all, you've probably already heard the news that Robin Williams has passed. Sadly, the evidence that's come in so far appears to indicate that he hung himself with a belt. There were some minor cuts on his wrists, and there's no indication at this time as to whether or not there was a suicide note left behind. So tragic. Many people are in mourning. A lot of radio shows are playing clips from their favorite Robin Williams moments. I just want to take this time to urge those listeners who feel bouts of depression or battle with their emotions to seek help. There are 24-hour hotlines such as the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, always there for you. So if you're feeling depressed, don't forget to either Google the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or dial 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. If you're in a sad place right now. A lot of people, after a suicide, there's some copycats sometimes where people are so depressed, they're saying, yeah, I feel like I need a way out. Well, if you commit suicide, then you don't have any other options. Nothing could possibly get better. So hang in there, call someone to talk to, and it'll all be all right. Now, into the news, there's another tragic story, unfortunately, of an 18-year-old black boy who was shot multiple times in the suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri, and he was unarmed when he died. Hundreds of local residents have been protesting, and a civil rights leader expressed outrage at the killing. Michael Brown had graduated from high school and was about to enter a local college. St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar said the shooting occurred after an officer encountered two people, one of whom was Brown, on the street near an apartment complex Saturday afternoon in Ferguson, a predominantly black suburb a few miles north of downtown St. Louis. Belmar said one of the men pushed the officer back into his squad car and a struggle began. Belmar said at least one shot was fired from the officer's gun inside the police car. Ferguson Police Chief Tom Jackson said authorities were still sorting out what happened inside the police car. It's not clear if Brown was the man who struggled with the officer. The struggle spilled out into the street where Brown was shot multiple times. Belmar said the exact number of shots wasn't known, but it was more than just a couple. He also said that all shell casings found at the scene matched the officer's gun. The police are still investigating why the officer shot Brown, who police have confirmed was unarmed. Jackson said the second person has not been arrested or charged and was expected to be interviewed later Sunday. Authorities aren't sure if that person was unarmed. McSpadden said she doesn't understand why police didn't subdue her son with a club or taser instead of shooting him. And she said the officer involved should be fired and prosecuted. She says, quote, "I would like to see him go to jail with the death penalty." The killing drew criticism from some civil rights leaders as they referred to the 2012 racial charged shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin by a Florida neighborhood watch organizer who was acquitted of murder charges, as well as the New York City man who died from a police chokehold. Quote, "We're outraged because yet again a young African-American man has been killed by law enforcement," said John Gaskin, who serves on both the St. Louis County and National Boards of Directors for the NAACP. The Reverend Al Sharpton called the shooting death very disturbing, and the New York-based civil rights leader said he planned to go to Ferguson to meet with the family Monday night or Tuesday. A few hundred protesters gathered outside Ferguson Police Headquarters about the time the news conference was to begin. At one point, many of them marched into an adjacent police building, some chanting, "Don't shoot me!" while holding their hands in the air. Officers stood at the top of a staircase but didn't use force. The crowd eventually left. Protesters outside chanted slogans, "No justice, no peace," and "We want answers." And some carried signs that read, "Stop police terrorism," and "Disarm the police." Critics have contended that police in the St. Louis area are too often targeting young black men. Statistics on police-involved shootings in the region were not immediately available. There's more to this story from ABC News, but I just want to pause to reflect. This was an unarmed 18-year-old boy. Regardless of what scuffle ensued, to draw a gun on someone who's unarmed when the police officer is in his own car, completely unjustified. And I think it's pretty clear to anyone who sees the situation that this officer escalated the use of force to a deadly level, unfortunately killed this young man. Now he'll never have a future. He'll never see his dreams reached because this hot-headed cop decided to pull a gun on him and shoot. Tragic. And wasn't it in Missouri where another young black man was just shot for holding a plastic gun in a Walmart? This is getting crazy. I mean, well, let's continue with the story from ABC News. St. Louis County Police Department is in charge of the investigation. County Executive Charlie, isn't that weird? Just like, let's pause there for a second, because one of the members of an agency commits a crime. Let's say a Walmart employee commits a crime, shoots and kills someone, unjustified, and that person was unarmed. Do you think Walmart should be doing the investigation into their own employee shooting somebody? Don't you think that would be a little conflict of interest there? Well, I think so. I think there's a conflict of interest when justice is only provided by one monopoly organization called the police. There needs to be someone to watch the police, to investigate the police, other than the police themselves. I mean, it's right up there at the top of the story. St. Louis County Police Department is in charge of the investigation. Well, people, let's object to that right there. Oh, but the county executive who showed up at the protest urged calm, and he said he'll request an FBI investigation. Ooh, yeah. You know, the feds are really going to crack down on those militarized police forces. Yeah, right. Hey, we got more to this story. Plus, did Osama bin Laden cross the Mexican-American border? That story coming up on The Angel Clark Show.
needs your help to hoodie the homeless. We have until October 7th to raise the 47 Bitcoins needed to reach our goal. We are calling on the Bitcoin community to make this happen. You can pledge contributions to the Bitcoin Starter Campaign, purchase a Bitcoin Not Bombs t-shirt, or donate to Bitcoin Not Bombs directly. Every t-shirt sold is priced to pay for one hoodie to keep someone warm this winter. Go to bitcoinnotbombs.com.
A great new book is hard to find, with today's authors glorifying the state. I have an alternative, and his name is Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. Taryn has written over 20 Liberty-themed short stories, manuals, and books, ranging from nonfiction, humor, horror, and romance to young adult and children's fiction. Read the words that reflect your views. Read Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. A traveler? Well, check out Taryn's free audiobooks, perfect for your lifestyle. Stop supporting authors that support the state. Instead, support lupolit.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
35% of U.S. credit accounts are facing collection agencies. Of that 35, almost 40% are the result of medical bills. Before uninsured friends or family go in for medical treatment, send them to AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com. No computer tracing, no tracking cookies. They will not go on a list. Privacy matters. Just tell us what you need, get a quote. Fractions of U.S. prices. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
You can interact with other LRN listeners in our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm. There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derrick J. on the Angel Clark Show.
Yeah, all right. We are back on the Angel Clark Show, talking about all the good stuff that's happening in the world. The peaceful evolution. Yeah, it's going to take a while, but we're righting the wrongs. in this world. Hey, and you know, while you were listening to that intro, I did something pretty special for you. I posted video of this show in the chat room over at DerrickJ.me. So if you want to go check it out, watch the show as you're listening along, go ahead. See it at DerrickJ.me. Continuing with the story from abcnews.com about this poor Michael Brown who died at 18 years of age at the hands of St. Louis police. The race of the police officer involved in the shooting has not been disclosed. He's been with the Ferguson Police Department for 6 years, Belmar said, noting he wasn't aware of other issues involving the officer. He's been placed on administrative leave, which is a common procedure after police shootings. Unfortunately, this is ridiculous that police officers get a paid vacation after they shoot somebody. I mean, how insulting. We just talked on Police State Monday yesterday about the man who fired a shot at Scott Olson, Robert Roche, who was reinstated to the same police department with 3 years back pay after injuring and inflicting mental damage onto Scott Olson, a protester as part of Occupy Oakland. Ridiculous that this is just a matter of course. These police get a paid vacation. That is no joke. That is exactly what it is. They stay home, administrative leave. They're gone, but they keep getting paychecks. So why is the race of this police officer important? To me, it's totally not. Some people see this as a race thing, like, oh, if he was white, then he shot the black guy because he's a racist. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just not the type of neighborhood I grew up in. But I think the racism thing is sort of overplayed. What is not overplayed, however, is that police in general are authoritarian hotheads who are quick to escalate violence to try and control a situation, right? Because they have to have control over everything that's happening. They have to have control over everything. Bunch of control freaks. And, so it's not hard to imagine this police officer got hot-headed and fired his gun on this young man who was completely unarmed. Now, another disturbing fact about this story is that here we are 3 days into this shooting and this investigation. We don't know the man's name. We know Michael Brown is the one who died, and that's tragic, but who's the guy who shot him? Typically, when there's a crime committed, even when someone is alleged to have committed a crime and they've been jailed and arraigned, you'll see their name up in the paper, you'll see their name and perhaps their face in court. They're public. They're public figures when you commit a crime or you're alleged to have committed a crime. Oh, but not police. They got a special exemption. La-da-da. Oh, don't tell my name. Don't tell my face. Don't tell any identifying information about me. Just let me go on killing people. And that's going to be okay with you, all right? Finishing up. Several protesters were angry that Brown's body remained on the street for hours after the killing. I would be angry about that too. Belmar said that the officers, quote, had to practice our due diligence, and that's why it took as long as it did. What do you think? Is that justifiable? Is that the reason? Are they lying, as they always do? I'd like to know. And theglobalgrind.com dug into this story a little bit deeper yesterday with a blog post called "He Has a Name. Ferguson Police Fatally Shoot Unarmed Teenager Michael Brown." So the first story was from ABC, and you can tell they've got their own slant. They didn't show any pictures of this young man. I'm going to share with you on screen the picture of Michael Brown, the unarmed teenager who was shot by St. Louis police. Here he is. Scary dude? No, I don't think so. Looks like a gentle giant to me. Let's see. According to the Associated Press, the news conference was held simultaneously in a different building. The St. Louis County Police John Belmar said the incident began when the officer encountered two men on the street. Well, we already got that story. Here's a tweet from Michael Skolnick, who has a tweet of Michael Brown saying the press conference is over. Important to note, no mention of Mike Brown stealing anything from any store. So at first it was alleged, oh, he was some shoplifter and the police were chasing after him because he had shoplifted. Well, if that were true, then the police would be quick to bring up, oh, here's all the stuff. Look what we caught him with, all this shoplifted material, and we were justified. We had to go after him. Here's another picture that should disturb anyone who's watching along at home. It's another tweet, or no, this is from an Instagram by Tammy Holland, who has a picture of a police tank on the scene. This is a tank. There is no mistaking what this image is. Some people call them they're attack trucks because that's what's in the name. The Lenco Bearcat is known as the Ballistic Engineered Armored Counter-Attack Truck. And that's what we're looking at here on screen is, I don't know, Gestapo-style police officer wearing a protective vest popping out of a literal tank. Unfortunately, that got over 100 likes and like 30 comments. Here's a Vine of the scene that night with the people, their hands in the air, protesting, saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot." Let's see if we can get some sound from this. Yeah. So you can hear them basically saying no justice, no peace. They've got their hands in the air saying don't shoot. People are filming them. There's a lot going on. And the tagline from Antonio French is, "Ferguson police have dogs and shotguns. The unarmed crowd is raising their hands." What else have we got here? A video.
What do we want it now? What do we want?
Okay, so one thing I hate is all kinds of shouting. Oh my God, please, people. When there's like a horrible police shooting, can we sing a song? Can we do something that doesn't sound so cacophonous? Because the shouting really gets to me, and it doesn't look peaceful. I have to be frank with my fellow peace lovers out there. If you're looking to hold the police accountable after an officer-involved shooting, don't shout. Be respectful and, act the part. Model the behavior that you want to see. You want to see a bunch of shouting? No. We want to see calm and peace. So be calm. Be peace. We've got some more stories for you. Did Osama bin Laden cross the Mexican-American border this weekend? We have the answer for you on the other end of the Angel Clark Show.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about
When do we want it?
Keenvention received rave reviews last year.
What do we want?
Visit Keenvention.info.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? What do we want? Justice! Now! What do we want?
Wow, that's a weird video, isn't it? Look at all these police on the other
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! Justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Justice! Now! What do we want?
Wow, that's really weird looking. I mean, look at all these police officers holding their hands, just listening to this message. And the message is kind of weird, too. Like, what do we want? Justice. Okay, well, why are you telling the police? You think they're the source of justice? It's pretty dumb. Anyway, we'll return to the Angel Clark Show after this.
Thousands of dollars to approach the audio quality of the corporate media. Doing a live spoken show with more than one host in different geographic locations. Our program, Fiend Phone, will solve that problem, and it will be given away free. Go to fiendphone.com to see what you can do to help. That's FEENPHONE.com.
A report on obesity rates released this week by the CDC confirmed that millions of courageous Americans continue to overcome the media's persistent pressure to be thin. Researchers told reporters that while the vast majority of film and television continues to portray thin, in-shape people, over 30% of Americans remain resolved in their effort to stand up to idealized images of men and women.
Every day, people are inundated with unvarying images of slim men and women, but millions of heroic Americans continue doing their best every day to maintain BMIs 35 or higher. These people aren't afraid to fly in the face popular culture deems acceptable and bravely eat and drink whatever they want, whenever they want.
In other news, the nation's single men announce a plan to change their bed sheets by 2019. A woman who left the room crying earlier expects to jump back into the party just like that. And a courtroom artist is clearly infatuated with the bailiff. This 2.5-minute-long session of immersion therapy is finally complete. Your crippling fear of watching video news recaps should no longer be a problem. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derrick J on the Angel Clark Show. Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was the baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6'4" baller. I wish I was like 6'9" so I could get with Yoshi, cause she don't know me, but Yoshi would be fine. You know I see her all the time, everywhere I go, and even in my dreams I can scheme a way to make her mine.
All right. I've teased you enough. Has Osama bin Laden crossed the U.S.-Mexican border? Of course not. As far as we know, he's dead. We didn't see any evidence of that, but he's not the boogeyman anymore. He's the old boogeyman. Now the new boogeyman are these Mexicans crossing over the border. Be afraid. Be very afraid of these children who are seeking opportunity, a chance to improve their station in life. How dare they? They didn't even ask permission first. You know, when you ask permission from the federal government to do something, they're normally pretty quick and easy about that. So what would the objection be for these young people? Well, all right, let me clue you in. Why is Osama, excuse me, Freudian slip there. Why is Osama crossing the border? Well, investigative filmmaker James O'Keefe, you may know that name, James O'Keefe donned an Osama bin Laden mask and sneaked across the Rio Grande in his new media stunt meant to expose the vulnerabilities of the U.S.-Mexican border. Quote, I'm at the Rio Grande River. I'm about to cross into the United States just like thousands of illegal immigrants do every single year, Mr. O'Keefe of Project Veritas says in the video released Monday. He can be seen wading up to his shins across the 20-foot-wide river from Mexico into Hudspeth County, Texas, this time wearing a white button-down shirt and slacks. I don't see a single federal officer anywhere, he says after the crossing. No walls, no guns, no people. Totally peaceful, quiet, and serene. He says that like it's a bad thing. I'm in the United States, and let me tell you something. If the president or if Nevada Senator Harry Reid or anyone else tries to tell you that our borders are secure, they are lying to you. Because that was just about the easiest thing I ever did. It may be difficult to go from South America to that point, but crossing that river, no problem. So he's got a problem with border security, thinks it should be tightened up. What do you think? Mr. O'Keefe even points out an old footbridge in case you don't want to get your feet wet. He then proceeds to take the 6-mile walk to Interstate 10, which he reaches without a hitch. From here, I can go anywhere in the United States, he says, before going back to try the stunt again, this time as the world's most infamous terrorist. I see no border patrol, no security. Thousands of people have stood in my footsteps right now. They've come from South America, Honduras, Guatemala, and they've all crossed the border. And if they can cross, anybody can cross, says Mr. O'Keefe, dressed in military fatigues and a bin Laden mask and a turban. He makes the trip again, unfettered. If you think 4 strands of barbed wire is securing the border, then I guess it's secure, Hudspeth County Sheriff Arvin West said in the video. You hear the rumors of boots on the ground and more agents. We got plenty of agents. They just need to be on the border. Look around you. You look for miles and miles in either direction, and there is not a single Border Patrol agent. Well, I'm not going to do James O'Keefe the service of playing his video because that's what he wants. There's lots of hits. And he's not a bad guy. He's not off on the wrong... He doesn't have the wrong idea altogether. But he... Well, okay. Yes, the borders are a joke. But the borders are a joke because they're imaginary lines enforced by strangers who have no legitimate claim to the land. Think about it. You put some Border Patrol agent there, strap him on with a gun and a uniform, and say, make sure nobody crosses this border. If they do, you shoot them. All right. Well, how did you acquire this land? I mean, if this is your property and you tell someone to shoot anyone who steps on it, well, then it's pretty clear. You have a legitimate claim to that land. And you don't want anyone trespassing on it. It's usually marked. It's usually got a fence indicating to people that, hey, you should stay away. But the border doesn't have that. The border is just some imaginary line. There is no border. It's all just earth. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. You know this. Most of us know this. It's when we go to government schools and watch government media, you know, like all the mainstream media, the same stream media. They're the ones who indoctrinate the public with the misconception that there are hard and fast borders in this world, and it's not like they've ever changed throughout history ever. And when the people who call themselves our leaders redraw the borders on a map, well then that's final, that's that. They've made the right decision, and that cannot be questioned. Let's ignore the fact that most of Mexico and California was just annexed by the U.S. Just, hey, we're going to take this now, okay? Yeah, thanks for all this land. And who are those people, right? I say the U.S. annexed that land, but who is the U.S.? Is some senators, some representatives, some Congress people from 100 years ago? Well, they're not around anymore. Where's their legitimate claim to the ownership of this land? Do they have some title, some deed? You know, when I go get a car, I have a title that proves this is me. I own this, and you get a fancy stamp, and it says I'm the only one who can have this. There are ways to prove, not just through a title, but cryptographically, you can prove ownership over. Well, I don't know. It'd be tough to do with land, but if we use our heads and our imaginations, we can get creative and think of a way to do it. We don't need the U.S. government pointing guns at children to keep them from seeking more opportunity for their lives. This comes to me as totally racist. This James O'Keefe guy is worried about, look at all the places he names. So Guatemala, Mexico, I don't know what other places he brought up, but here, Honduras, South America. So he's all upset that people are coming from South America. He's not upset about the people who come from other places. Like, what about Germans who come to the U.S. illegally? Or the Swiss? What about them coming illegally? Or what about the generations of Irish who came, right? O'Keefe? Remember the Irish who came across the way? It's so frustrating when people are such hypocrites about this, because as a conservative, right, he makes these hit pieces, these documentaries about Acorn or the liberals in the federal government, and he wants to return to conservative roots, right? Well, conservatives are supposed to be for small government. Here he is saying, I see no border patrol, I see no security. And you want to? You want to see more of these jackbooted thugs? I don't see a single federal officer anywhere. No walls, no guns, no people. Totally peaceful, quiet, and serene. Horrible. Sounds like a nightmare, James. And here he is, begging for more government. Right? Is that really the conservative message here on the border? I think that's a trick. This is a trap. Watch out for this, conservatives. Because you could fall into this trap with the politicians baiting you to believe that you need more of the federal government. Aren't you a small government conservative? I'll bet you would call yourself one. So are you asking for more government on the border? Do you really think that's a solution? Now, I know you're going to say, but if the illegals come across, they're going to suck off the teat of the welfare system. And then that's even more government. Well, I agree with you. No welfare, no borders. We could solve both problems at once by cutting off the welfare and cutting off the borders. And you can reduce the size of government all along the way. This is the Angel Clark Show. We will return. We've got a special story for you about some scientists hijacking a satellite.
Energy, vitality, clarity of mind, and incredible immune support. The awesome power of nature is now in your hands. Hi, this is Sean from One with Nature. Our herbal formulas contain some of the greatest botanicals from around the world, and they are ready and willing to help you achieve your goals. Visit us at onewithnature.com. That's W-O-N, withnature.com.
Did you agree? Did you totally agree? I'll bet that you did, but did you read the agreement? There are 7 billion people on Earth, and there are over 6 billion active cell phone accounts right now, and every one of them came with an agreement. Billions have already agreed to allow entities that they do not know to use and abuse every feature of their mobile devices. Your computer activity is monitored and archived. Your car is tracked, and even your face is scanned. The current power structure grows more fearful every day of your desire for anonymity, independence, free association, freedom of movement, freedom of expression, and your freedom of thought. And entire categories of humans will be targeted. And if they, them, those that won't leave us alone determine that we are not within their control, then we will be categorized as out of control. FreedomsPhoenix.com will launch the next phase of the Levolution by the end of the summer of 2014. And if you have to tell your neighbors about it, then we did it wrong.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees!
What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derrick J.
on the Angel Clark Show.
All right, folks, welcome back. Just minutes remain. Still time for your thoughts and calls if you make them quickly. 443-424-8347 or Skype. DerrickJFreeman. I know it's not typical for the Angel Clark Show to take calls, but since we have the ability to do it, why not extend the offer to you? So in this segment, we've got a couple of stories we got to plow through because I got some important stories to share with you. I've been teasing this a little while. Civilians in abandoned McDonald's seize control of a wandering space satellite. Their mission control console is a refurbished flat screen and some parts found on eBay. Yes, this is really happening. Article from betabeat.com, Jack Smith writes, for the first time in history, an independent crew is taking control of a NASA satellite and running a crowd-funded mission. They're doing it all from a makeshift mission control center in an abandoned McDonald's in Mountain View, California, using old radio parts from eBay and a salvaged flat-screen TV. If I could come up with a more absurd detail, I would. That from the project's team lead, Keith Cowing. The ISEE-3 is a disco-era satellite that used to measure space weather, like solar wind and radiation, but it went out of commission decades ago. Now, a small team led by Mr. Cowing has taken control of the satellite with NASA's silent blessing. Mr. Cowing is a former NASA employee and now runs a handful of space news websites like NASA Watch and Space Ref. Sitting out in the desert one night after a documentary shoot, Mr. Cowing asked Bob Farquhar, an old NASA researcher who worked with the ISEE-3 in its glory days, what it would take to bring the satellite out of retirement. The satellite's battery has been dead for over 20 years, but it had solar panels to power 98% of the satellite's full capabilities. In its heyday, it ran missions around the moon and Earth and flew through the tail of a comet. But technology gets old, and everyone happily let the successful satellite go, knowing it would be back in Earth's orbit someday, namely 2014. Since the satellite went offline, the team had retired, the documentation was lost, and the equipment became outdated. They could still hear the satellite out there talking, but they'd need the equipment to talk back. The satellite had been built for longevity with very simple technology. To get it back would simply be like trying to make concrete with the original Roman recipe. In other words, they'd need a few outdated parts, but it could be done. Well, they did a crowdfunding campaign, and 2 weeks later had beat their $125,000 goal and actually raised $160,000. Within another 6 weeks, a small team was in Puerto Rico running around an observatory base, running tests, hoisting a transmitter into place with a helicopter, ready to make contact. This is so cool. So at the outset of the crowdfunding campaign, they brought the idea to NASA, but there was no precedent on which they could base an agreement. No external organization has ever taken command of a spacecraft, but NASA didn't want to say no. So they asked the team if they needed any help. Well, to start, they needed space for their control center. The neighborhood near Ames Research Center in Mountain View, once a teeming hub of activity in the days of the space race, had become a shell of its former self. There were a few abandoned buildings, one a barber shop, and one was an abandoned McDonald's. Someone hit the barber shop with a truck, so we took the McDonald's. Their control center, dubbed McMoons, fit all the criteria they needed. The doors locked, and it was free. For their console, they pulled a broken flat-screen TV from a government dumpster and fixed the power supply. The other pieces are from eBay, including the Mac laptop and some old radio parts. With just those bare-bones pieces, they were able to MacGyver a computer-radio hybrid that made contact with the ISEE-3. Yay! Woohoo! Once they were able to communicate with the satellite, they established a new orbit around the Sun, slightly larger than the Earth's orbit. It'll remain close enough to the Earth for a while, allowing the crowdsourced community to run tests on it for a long time. But for how long? No idea, says Mr. Cowing. It's been on for 36 years. Another 36? Nobody knows. A long time. In the meantime, they'll be constantly taking in solar weather data and then sharing it with everyone. So it's an open source satellite. Boy, the space race is really changing. This could like reignite people's interest in studying the world outside of Earth. What's outside? People used to ask that throughout the 60s and 70s. We want to explore. We want to reach further than ever beyond than we've ever reached before. But now, it's actually possible. I guess because NASA is short-staffed, they probably imagined that a lot more people would be interested in becoming NASA scientists or astronauts, and it looks like they don't even have enough people to work on this project. You know, NASA doesn't want to be against it. They don't want to stand in the way because there's a bunch of nerds who want to explore space. And then there's a bunch of nerds who say, well, I don't work for NASA, but I want to work on this one individual project. And then there's all those other people who are like, I have no skills, I just have some money, and I want to see this project happen. And all of them have cooperated voluntarily, without any central planner, to come together and do something really cool. Namely, bring an old satellite back to life. And, man, that is cool. So I'll be following this story. They have a really cool visual on their website and on the Google Hangouts page where you can see what the orbit is going to be. I mean, but this is the first open source space creation. I mean, like, this is like the space race, but open source. I mean, whoa, so cool. All right, so we've got a couple more news stories that I want to get to before it's the end of the show. I've got some pictures to share with the video audience of students in a full-scale revolt against Michelle Obama. Why are they so angry? Well, generally speaking, the more the American people understand about liberal policies, the less they like them. This from conservativetribune.com. That's one reason why Democrats often rush to pass legislation and make claims like Pelosi's famous quote about the Affordable Care Act. We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what's in it. It also explains President Barack Obama's falling poll numbers much better than the claims of racism do. Most Americans are not now coming to the realization that Obama is black, but they're realizing more each day that he is the most liberal president America has ever had. Now, as students and teachers head back to school for the 2014-2015 school year, some of them are experiencing the full impact of Michelle Obama's school meal rules for the first time. What am I talking about? Well, you can read Michelle Obama's promise to Latinos that her husband will bypass Congress to grant amnesty to illegal immigrants. But that's not what they're upset about. It's, according to one report, the new rules impact not only school breakfasts and lunches, but also vending machines. Yes, the vending machines on school property are now affected by Michelle Obama. The report describes the new vending machine selections as a wholesale change from previous years. Students and teachers looking for a chocolate bar or a bag of chips will instead have the option to purchase fruit or salad, as the pictures below indicate. Some students have taken to social media to express their displeasure over the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Schools Act. Wow, that's a horrible name. Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Schools Act. Only a politician could come up with a name like that. Sharing pictures of the new machines, their own displeasure at the healthier choices, or their preferred snacks. So here's a look at just a couple of these tweets that have come out at Michelle Obama about these machines. Let me tell you all about these whack vending machines because of Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama is no boss anymore because of vending machines. Why does my vending machine at school look like Whole Foods, Michelle Obama? Well, unfortunately, that music means we're out of time, but it's been a blast joining you on The Angel Clark Show. The Angel Clark Show will return tomorrow with a daily dose of liberty. Until next time, RadioFreedom.us.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
That's right. Something important is happening in the Shire, and you can join me here. I would love to see more doers and activists, freedom lovers, people who embrace peace as their way to join us here in the Shire. There are lots of exciting activists working on cool, creative projects, and you could start your own or get help out working on someone else's. So this is the end of the Angel Clark Show, and I do a lot of broadcasts throughout the day. So if you enjoy this broadcast, send me a donation in Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Feathercoin, because the work I do is entirely sponsored by viewers like you. I don't ask for a dime from any commercial sponsors. I don't do any regular commercials for products or services. I could, but I choose to deliver the most important news to you rather than take up time plugging commercials and bringing you listeners to websites. I think the more important thing is that we talk about the important stuff, the meat, the peaceful resistance news. So send me some Bitcoin if you want more peaceful resistance news. Thank you.